Hi, my name is Meg Sloan, and you are watching part two of episode four of Issaquah Special Education PTSA's Ask the Experts. And our expert is Evelyn James. She is DEA Special Agent retired and forever mom. So, Evelyn, thank you so much for taking the time to do your presentation and coming back to talk to answer the questions.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it. So we're going to go ahead and get right to the questions. The first question we have is, I have a nonverbal child and I want to take him to the police station to introduce him to police officers. Who should I call to set up an appointment? Is there a special department in the police for this kind of thing?
You would probably ask for, so each department is going to have their own table of organization where they have people designated. The language may change from department to department, but it's going to, it's probably going to be the public information officer or community services officer. Regardless, if you call the non-emergency line and ask them, tell them that you want your kiddo to meet some police officers because of a developmental disability that is going to, make it more challenging for them to interact with officers, then for example, I got hooked up not with the community service officer, not with the PIO, but the PIO hooked me up with one of the gals who runs the drug dogs. And she also coordinates the Special Olympics polar plunge, which is coming up next weekend. So within each department, if you explain it to them, they may have somebody who's even better than the public information officer or the community service officers. Just call the non-emergency line for your jurisdiction and explain, and they'll send you in the right direction.
Okay, and then so follow-up questions to this, and I think you've actually might have answered all of these, but are like, what about for the fire department, or should parents try to reach out to the ambulance, the EMTs, or and then I guess, and the final question, which it sounds like if you just call and explain, your jurisdiction will deal with you. But like the other question was, are there policies very different in different jurisdictions?
So, pardon me. The whole point of the term first responder is because the first responders help sort and organize people into the second responders, and the first responders are so you don't need to talk to the ambulance drivers if you talk to the fire department, because the fire department is going to be the people who are going to respond, and they're going to be trained as EMTs. They're going to be the ones who are initially assessing. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel and have your kid talk to, everybody. Probably, I mean, might be fun for your kid, might be fun for you, but generally, if you would just do the police department and fire department, the fire department will be coordinating all of the EMTs and ambulance drivers and so on.
Okay. So, and is there's kind of like equal priority, you think, for reaching out to the police department and fire department, or like if your kid can only handle maybe one, which is there a priority that parents should consider?
Well, and that's one of the things that's always interesting about, our kids have special needs, so one answer doesn't fit all. So what might fit your kiddo at age 5 might not fit your kiddo at age 15. So what you may want to do is revisit that issue and then alternate. So if every other year you go for a visit to, a place where there's big red shiny trucks, and the other year you go where there's the police officers. So with our kiddos, I should speak just for mine, but repetition is always good. Just make it maybe an annual thing. Maybe you always take cookies to the fire department at Christmas. Maybe you do a reverse trick or treat and you dress your kid up and go bring candy to the police officers or whatever. So, if you associate it with a specific day or something like that, that may make it a fun family tradition. There's, repetition. And because our kids are so unique, I can't answer it for all of you, but I'd be happy to talk to anybody one-on-one to talk to, workshop your situation and figure out what might be beneficial.
That's great. Great. Thanks so much. Another question was, did I understand you correctly that I can get my intellectually disabled 5-year-old a state ID card that indicates his disability so that if an ambulance or fire truck or police car comes to the house, they'll know ahead of time? So is there,
Yes.
that's amazing.
How flip and cool is that? Okay, so and I brought audio visual, so this is Annabelle's, and me and my blue tape. So if you see this little thing where my pinky is, that's a little DD for developmental delay. So the Department of Licensing, and this is pursuant to, let me look all official and know, like I know my stuff. Supplemental Senate Bill 6429, Disability and Medical Designations Update. So that is what implemented that, and it was implemented January 1st of 2022. So the designations are deaf or hard of hearing, medical condition, or developmental disability. And the point of it is for them to be able to, these designations can give first responders information about how you communicate or conditions that affect a health emergency when they respond. Now, this is relatively new. Well, obviously 22 isn't that new, but I mean, it's so I don't know exactly how it's being implemented. Generally, what's going to happen is this is going to be a queryable database that the dispatchers would query. I don't know the back end side of it, if that marries up with when you call 911, does it ping up immediately or what? I don't know how it's implemented, but yes, your 5-year-old can get an ID card. Annabelle is 15. She obviously isn't going to be driving unless it's my lawn tractor. But not only that, but it's really great, particularly if your kiddo is nonverbal, to be able to have some photo identification. I also have Annabelle's passport. You can also get passports as a card that you can carry in your wallet now, so you don't have the book thing. But regardless, it's always a good idea to have photo ID for your kiddo, particularly if your kiddo is nonverbal and can't communicate. And if they're on, a full frontal freak out, they might, I don't know how your kiddo is going to react to you showing up. Maybe they're going to feel, oh crap, now I'm even in more trouble or whatever. So having photo ID, plus especially also as if there are custody issues, did I say that already? Interstate travel issues, having any kind of identification is going to be beneficial. If you don't want to get a United States passport, then at least you can get a Washington State ID, no matter what the age.
Okay, that's
Cool,
so
huh?
great. Yeah, really, it's really exciting. I wonder if other states are doing this too. I wonder if it's just.
It is part of the national effort with regards to ID, but it hasn't been fully implemented across. It's supposed to be part of the National Enhanced ID something. That's beyond
Okay.
that's out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's great to hear. Another question is, and we're just kind of flying through here. What is neurolinguistic programming, and how does it relate to the therapy space?
So neurolinguistic programming is kind of an offshoot of cognitive behavioral therapy. So cognitive, neuro, linguistic, behavior, therapy, programming. So it's how we program our own brains, or how therapists can assist somebody in reframing an attitude. So with one of my clients, I have been using the analogy of situations are like a cube, and you can only see 3 sides at a time. So you don't have to like the other side of the cube, but let's look at that. And then we can turn it back around to see what you like. But, so being able to really assess who your client is and how they function. So one of the things is, to assess somebody, like, do they need things chunked down or chunked up in order to meet their goals? So some people, I use the analogy, some people can't they got their nose so close to the bark they can't see it's a tree, much less that the tree's in a forest.
Mhm.
So if you bring them back and give them some perspective of how that particular piece of bark, so to speak, fits into the forest, then they're more able to move forward and understand how their interactions are beneficial or maladaptive. Other people can't or get so overwhelmed by the prospect of a forest that you have to chunk it down for them.
Mhm.
Like, okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's just a couple trees. Let's take it one tree at a time. So, and one of the main things in NLP is it's not my content. It's my, I don't have, the person within themselves has the resources.
Mhm.
I just have to help them find it. So, and there are some critics of NLP. They think it's a little bit more woo-woo. Well, that's where me having a master's in psychology balances that out, as well as all of the other trainings that I have, particularly focused on first responders and trauma and, understanding how to help normalize reactions. There's a lot of times when you're in a situation where you might go in a tailspin because you don't realize that that is normal behavior, if a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. And then just your normal reaction can, cause just as much concern as the original trauma. So if okay, I'm going to get over this, so anyway, it's part of cognitive behavioral therapy, and it really is, like I always say, I have a master's in psychology and I still can't get my kid to put on a coat before they go out the door. So
She's a mom.
it's all a pretty work in progress for everybody. We're all works
Yeah.
in progress.
Okay.
So.
Right, thanks. Oh, and here's another question. I looked at your website. Do you have opportunities for my kid to volunteer to work on your farm? And I guess, and I don't know if this would mean like, how functional does the kid have to be, or I don't know.
Well, so far, I have actually had kiddos from the high school who needed to do volunteer hours. I've had the missionaries from the LDS church, especially when COVID was hitting and they couldn't go overseas. They loved coming out to the farm and help. So we are not officially open to the public. We are open on an appointment and case by case basis. We are really trying to let it grow organically and figure out what we will be able to do, what our limitations are, what the community needs for us to do. So the farm has two missions, one of which is to provide services for kiddos with special needs and their parents. And the other is the outreach to let people know that persons with special needs are fabulous, wonderful, contributing, having a great life, and deserve to be included in and are great friends. Speaking of which, I got Annabelle's baseball card. Give me 2 seconds.
Oh, great.
So we talked to, here's Annabelle. I cropped that from her swim team thing. So it says Annabelle James is rocking an extra 21st chromosome, also called Down syndrome. She works harder to learn, speak, and move through her day than anyone else. She is a wonderful friend who enjoys movies, YouTube, swimming, and time with her family. Enter her world with patience and join her in enjoying life.
Nice.
So it doesn't have to be, a big heavy trip, but that something like this would be, again, one of the fun ways to have your kiddo communicate with, which doesn't come back to about the farm thing, but I was just so excited about that.
No, that's great to see, actually.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Don't you think your kiddo would love handing those out?
I think kids could really love handing it out.
Yeah,
my kids are kind of.
I mean, I just got I'd like a better picture, but since I was just quickly putting it together and ordering a little box, but yeah. So when I have people come out to the farm, they're kind of helping me beta test my systems. So I did not realize that kids from Newcastle didn't know how to use a shovel. Yeah. Like, see that? So it's amazing. the things that we take for granted that kids might know. And the whole, you know, a lot of times kiddos with special needs don't get exposure to the pollens and molds and spores and the dirt and the dust and the things that they need to, so that their bodies don't think, oh my gosh, that's the enemy when they do get out. So we're still trying to build a path through the property so that it could be a safe fenced area with a path that kiddos could go through. We have little raised beds, so each kid could get their own raised bed. We're beta testing those to see whether or not we would be, you know, people could be having fun with, you know, raising their own radishes or whatever, and you know, we water it in the meantime. We're also hoping to have a room that will be rentable to a speech therapist, occupational therapist, or whatever, and then have meditation spaces for the caregivers by our creek. So there's a lot to do. We will always have something that we could use help with.
So if we're interested in getting our kids to get more skills, I mean, you know, and have more experiences, and I'm thinking like, you know, summertime and stuff. And should we just call you and to say, hey, you know, I'd like to, you know, get my, I mean, and then I guess the other question is that it's not like it's going to be a drop off situation. It's going to be like, you know, depending on your kid, how much support or how independent your kid can be. Is that just something that needs to happen in a phone call with you, I guess is my question.
Well, and that's just it, is when I, you know, I try to be very sensitive to, I've had groups as large as 15, and and then I have a specific curriculum. They can fondle alpaca fiber, which is dreamy. They get to taste some of the jam that I make with, so my husband hasn't been having very much success with bees, but eventually I would love to have classes where we make like lip balm or hand lotion with beeswax. Or you know, whatever. There's I love to do all sorts of really kind of old-timey practical stuff, like canning and making jam and preserving and gardening and quilting and knitting and crocheting. So it also depends on what I have. Knitting machines as well, so like your kid can make a hat with a knitting machine with minimal dexterity required.
Nice.
And Annabelle, in fact, it's sitting over on the counter right now. If you turn a knob, I can do it, thread it for you, but then your kiddo can make their own hat. And so again, we're beta testing everything. So if you want to volunteer, or if you want to participate and put on a thing for a group, I can get that coordinated. And our schedule, you know, I've got 2 kids, and my husband and I have been having some health issues. So we have our own special needs. So we will work with whatever we can to fulfill the mission of serving kids with special needs and letting kids with special needs have their God-given mission on earth of letting people know that, you know, living life in the moment and all of those gifts that they give us.
Okay, so basically, definitely call if and try to coordinate with you about.
Happy to.
Thanks. That's such a great opportunity, I think, for our community. And then our last question is for me. Anything else that you'd like to add before we close out?
Sure. I pulled out because my sister's cards, and it's called Mixed Emotions.
Yep. And the link is going to be down below.
Yeah, and so I realized I was up in the corner when I was showing the little pictures that I had. So here, she was able to get illustrations of various, things that communicate non-verbally with that image. And then there's synonyms like weary, fatigued, and drained. So particularly for kids who are have a challenge identifying their emotions. This is all of us moms. So, or for us, there's different ways to lay them out. So just, with multiple modalities of learning and multiple modalities of communicating, anything that's a tool that helps us get insight into how our kiddos are feeling, what we can share with them. Any of these tools are going to be worth trying.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that looks actually like, I mean, like a really great therapy tool that that therapists should probably know about. Because, like you said,
So,
it can be hard for some kids to identify, not only identify their emotions, but communicate that. And what a good support that those
right.
cards
And so
are.
you can hand these to the kid. Some people use them for like a writing prompt, but you can hand this to the kids and
Hmm.
and say which one show me how you feel. And you might
Hmm.
want to limit it to like 5 that would be
Yeah.
representative of, some polar extremes, so that the
Hmm.
kid has it's less overwhelming to come up with something that they
Hmm.
would. But anyway, so um I just think that that is a great communication tool, a great therapy tool. It's also a great decision-making tool. So that's the only thing, and I am available for, I have a couple of clients who are kiddos, and one of the main services that I provide is that I am not their mother, even if I'm saying the same thing. So,
That's so, that's so true.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's really so true.
There's no history there. There's no
Yeah.
drama. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Evelyn, thanks so much for contributing your time and energies um to helping our community and giving your awesome advice about how to create positive um connections in our communities. I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thank you. And if I can put in a plug for the Issaquah School District PTSA, come join us for coffee,
Please do. You're the best.
or the
It's so
Wednesday
fun.
night one that I never go to, but
Yep.
I never turn down coffee.
Yeah, they're all on the webs actually, the Wednesday night one can include alcohol. So, because they serve
Ooh,
alcohol there. But all the dates are on our website, and I'll include our website below too. So, thank you
absolutely.
so
Thank you so
much.
much.